I rented this $10,000 a night San Diego real-world mansion for 2 days for my clients and asked these 6 multimillionaires how they became millionaires. And it's probably not what you think. They know something that the average person does not. One of these millionaires will share how he makes $10,000 an hour. You don't want to miss that. My team spent months of planning and a lot of money to bring these 6 together to get decades of experience. Masterminds are what have allowed me to build multiple 7-figure businesses and set them up on autopilot so I can do videos like this for you. People pay $20,000 to $50,000 to be in a room like this, and all it is going to cost you is to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let's get into it.
All right, a few quick announcements before we start. Beer 30 has started, so it's on officially. We're going to do well, actually, first we're going to have dinner at 6 here tonight. We've got an awesome cook that's coming to do like a homemade meal. So she's going to probably be bringing food up here in a few minutes. Or here in just a little bit. She's done a couple of different events for us. She makes amazing homemade food, so I'm super excited about her coming and doing that. And then pickleball lessons start at 6:30. So if anybody wants lessons, it's on. All right, cool. So I guess I'll sit here then. So one of the things that is great is learning from successful people. So looking at this panel here, so much success, multiple businesses, lots of great stuff. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just kind of drill you guys with some questions. You guys can pass the mic around and just answer the best of your ability to add value to the group. So, all right. So one of the things that I think is the biggest learning lesson is mistakes and failures. So let's start with that. What is one of the biggest mistakes you made, how you overcame it? And in my opinion, there's always something good that came from a failure. So actually, let me step back. I need to introduce you guys. So Josh and Tiffany, you guys know. Dave introduced himself. Mike introduced himself. Dean Rogers. I guess Seth is the only one we didn't introduce. So Seth is a good friend of mine here in San Diego. He owns a couple of successful businesses. He started with construction. He actually did, not the big houses across the street, but actually the little one we've been talking about a little bit. So he has a successful construction business. And then him and I met probably 4 years ago. Did you start the roofing business about 4 years ago?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, and he's like, man, there's no one here in San Diego doing roofing, and so he had this big vision, and then he's just blown it up into this big company here in San Diego. So good to have you, buddy.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, everybody.
So do you want to start? Anything that you want to share from a failure that you've had, and then what
All right, let's go.
what you learned from it?
We got tons. I'd say can you hear me? I'd say the biggest failure was not exiting myself out of the day-to-day soon enough. So as Tony alluded to, 2 different companies. One's a design-build residential remodeling company here in San Diego. I'm born and raised in San Diego. That one we started from scratch. We do about $5 million a year in revenue, which I know doesn't mean much, especially compared to, that's one house, right? But as far as construction goes, I got out about 4 or 5 years ago, but it should have been much sooner. We have such an amazing team. I think that's the only thing I can bring to the table. You guys are doing much better than us, but building a team and then letting them do their work is I think where I add value. So therefore, my biggest failure was trying to oversee and what do you guys need help with and how can I help? And now I'm down to maybe 2 hours a week with that company. My main focus is building the roofing company. But anyway, so biggest failure for me personally was not figuring out when you're not needed, and then to your point of your $10,000 an hour activities, doing more of those and less of the smaller stuff.
Absolutely, cool.
All right, just keep on going down.
Yep.
All right, so my biggest failure involved actual pain and misery and loss of money. So for me, and I don't know if this trumps anybody because I've heard of much bigger, more painful stories, but to get to the punchline, my biggest loss was $187,000 on a deal. To kind of rub dirt into it, it was someone within my community, actually here in San Diego, and it was a ground-up construction deal. Hey, come into this deal with me. We'll do 2 new construction deals right next to each other, and was in my circle of trust. And the thing is that because of that, I was kind of blinded by the excitement of the deal and just kind of blindly trusted this person. And there were some red flags along the way, but again, I was just misguided by the excitement and trusting because my own good nature, I believe everybody else is good people, and I've been fortunate to attract good people. So because of that, I was like, yeah, let's do this deal. Like, he said the project's ready to go, like it's shovel ready. We could start as soon as I buy into this deal. And the reality was he was just a wolf in sheep's clothing, and everything was a disaster. Like, he had pulled hard money out. He already told me he called the hard money lender, was cool with me coming in on the deal. Nope. He had pulled money out using fake receipts of, architects and civil engineers that he had not paid. And then I ended up getting on the phone with them, found out, the plans aren't even close to being ready, just a complete nightmare. And $187,000 lost later. Not one piece of dirt had moved, and I sold it just to get out of it and move on and not have to deal with prolonging that loss or maybe even it being greater. So the biggest lesson, this sounds so simple, but again, we can get just lost in the excitement of doing that next deal. It's better to do no deal than a bad deal. So that's one part of the lesson. The next part of the lesson that's practical and you can put to work is sometimes all it takes is one more phone call. If I would have just called the hard money lender, who I actually knew had their cell phone, could have called. If I just, hey, you know what, these plans, the name that's on the plans that you provided me that are fake, let me call this company and see what's going on. If I would have just made one more phone call, immediately would have saved myself a lot of pain and saved a lot of money. So that's the lesson for me.
Anybody lost more than $187,000 on a deal? You went, Dean. I actually had the same experience. We had a gal that I lent money to, and to your point, had we just had someone walk through the house, I trusted them, and I didn't have them walk through the house. And long story short, she stole like 80 grand from us. So, anyway, long story, but 90 grand. There you go. Yeah.
Plenty of mistakes along the way, but I'll say one is I feel like for a lot of years when I first started, I was kind of in my foxhole, didn't really want to share anything, didn't really want to certainly collaborate. And now my largest businesses, the ones I enjoy the most, everything I enjoy the most doing is collaborating. And I wish that I could go back in time and kind of do that faster. And I feel like, some of it was leaving corporate America, and, is where I was at, it was basically like a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody's trying to jockey for the next promotion or whatever. And so I kind of brought some of that into the entrepreneurial world and, isolated myself a lot early on. And obviously everybody that knows me now doesn't even know the old Mike. Like that's not how I am at all. I'm all about collaboration and working with other people, but just wish I'd gotten there faster.
Good stuff. I'll give you a business and a personal, which might be more than the 187. I'll let you guys decide. And I agree 100% with what you said, that, what we believe sometimes can be our worst day actually can turn into our best day if we allow that to happen, right? You never lose. You either win or you learn. And there's a couple things I've learned, business and professional. So business, and this goes along with some of the things that were said in this last activity, and even Dan Sullivan does one called the unique ability, where you stay in your zone and stay out of the weeds. But the way I like to think about it is, and your guys' presentation goes along with this as well, the yeses will get you out of Egypt, but the no's will take you to the promised land. So the yeses are that phase 1 and 2 where you're hustling and you're just saying yes and you're leaving corporate America and just busting your ass. So the yeses will get you there. But to get to level 3 and 4, or phases 3 and 4, to get to the promised land, to get into flow, like where Josh has been the last 18 months and moved from that, you're saying no. So say no to everything on that list that is pulling your energy away because you hate it, you're not making good money at it, and it's sucking you. So just think about that. To go to that next level, what do I need to say no to? And say no to everything else except for those things that don't feed your energy. And a lot of people talk about, what's more important, time or money? Oh, time's more important, for sure. But what's more important than time? Energy. Whatever you call it, whatever feeds your soul, whatever feeds your spirit in business or your personal life, do that, because time disappears. Think about the time you're hanging out with your kids, or you're doing a business deal that you just enjoyed and you just lost yourself in flow. There is no time. Time doesn't exist. So energy is even more important than I would say than time. So that's the business advice I'd give you. And when I didn't do that, I found my ass sitting on the beach in Hawaii 4 years ago, and the love of my life had ghosted me, literally sitting on the beach in Hawaii on vacation with my wife at the time, and I got an Uber notification that she had left the island. So this dude who has a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, works with Tony Robbins, understands all the theory, found himself like, what the fuck is going on here? That led me to ask the question, like, how did this happen? And so the advice on the personal side is there is not enough business success. There's not enough money, sex, alcohol, whatever you want to fill that is inside of you, right? And whatever you call it. You can be an atheist and call it energy. You could be someone of faith and call it God. It doesn't matter, but there's a centeredness inside of each and every one of us. And when we tap into that, we're better in our personal lives, but you're also better in business, right? Especially as a CEO, you separate yourself from everything and you get into that flow state. You get into that place where you can get inspiration. And then all of the celebration parts of making good money or having an amazing marriage, those things are great. But if you have that reversed and you're not centered and at peace and you're not fulfilled, none of that other stuff matters. So there's distraction and there's celebration. I'm all about celebration. I'm all about having a good time and having an amazing life as a celebration. And so I would just remind you to always be centered, and whatever it is that fills your soul, your spirit, whatever that is that gives you energy, do that. Because if you don't, it could suck. And to your point, that felt like the worst day ever, but it has turned out to be an amazing day. That question of how did I find myself there inspired a book, inspired a lot of the personal stuff I do, and now the people that are in my life, including an amazing woman who I never would have been, she wouldn't have been in my life if I hadn't gone through my own dark night of the soul and asked those questions of myself. And now I'm in a great place, and I am centered, and I'm happy, and I'm fulfilled, and I enjoy and celebrate all the business successes because I'm not trying to fill that void that I really had inside of myself for years. So I don't know if that's more than 187,000, but it was pretty painful loss.
Good stuff. Now it's good.
Because divorce can be expensive too.
So I want to take a moment to share with you 10X TV. It is the buzz in the real estate investing world right now. And guess what? I was one of the first to do TV commercials over a decade ago. If you want high quality, motivated seller leads that are asking you to do business with you instead of you reaching out to them, go to claimmymarket.com. And we will show you our TV launch formula. We have the shows and stations that we know work. We have the scripts that we know work. We've basically taken the formula that I've created over the last decade plus that I've been doing TV commercials, and we are now plugging it in for over 100 real estate investors around the country. And if you want to be one of those as well, reach out to us. claimmymarket.com. If you want to 10x your marketing, go and apply and see if we have a spot in your market. Now back to the video.
I don't know if it's necessarily a failure, but a couple years ago, I caught myself really like comparing myself to every business owner that I would walk into a room with. And naturally, like there's a reason why we sit ourselves in these rooms, because there's people bigger than us and we want to strive to be them. But I had this like sense of anxiety that I had wondered, why am I not there? Why am I not there? And then it would take me back from actually getting there. So a year ago, I actually intentionally unfollowed every major influencer that I looked up to, and I delegated it to my team to do their R&D on them. Because, for now, like I actually do need to follow them because I'm wondering what's working, what's trending, all the stuff. And what it did is it took me out of that sense of anxiety. I delegated the work. And another thing through that journey was I don't need motivated. I'm very driven. But in my mind, I thought I could do this alone. And then I had a kid, and I kept thinking, I'm fine, I can do this, I'm strong. And then I realized I'm not that fucking strong. And so this last year and a half, I decided to get a peak performance coach and a therapist that works with business owners, and it was the best thing I've ever done. So to feel like centered and at peace and happy where I'm at versus chasing the next best goal or the next business or the next whatever, although I have those written in my goals, it's nothing that I'm like chasing inside of me right now. So if I could encourage one thing, you do have to be slightly crazy to own a company. And I personally think that if I could go back 5 years, I wish I would have worked with like a therapist, life coach from the beginning. I think I would have skyrocketed much faster and been a lot more sane along the journey. So.
Very nice. I appreciate the therapist too. But anyways, So, just teasing.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
All right. Anyways, so one thing I would say, as far as biggest lesson learned over the years, I would say holding on to people that we're afraid to let go. I think a lot of us in here have been in that position, especially if you've hired people. We feel, maybe I can just give them one more chance. And really, what I've learned is when we actually make the decision to rip off the Band-Aid, more times than not, you've already learned what not to do. So you don't make that same mistake. You fill the role with someone who's a better fit for the role. You've learned as a leader, as a manager, and you've implemented the right systems and processes to make that next person even better. And it's just it's amazing at how fast we've been able to skyrocket by not being held back by making those decisions. Now, coupled with that, we wish that, we just had this conversation about a week ago. We wish when we first started that we would have brought someone in who was more of that manager who was going to be able to build the team alongside of us. Because more and more I talk to you guys, and even this was our philosophy, we wanted to bring in the frontline salespeople first, and then we had to learn how to lead them. Well, what if you had someone that already knew and mastered that skill set, right? And you were able to work alongside them, let them build the team while you're continuing to build the company.
Cool, good stuff, guys. Good first round. All right, so next thing, let's go to the other side of it. What is one big accomplishment you want to share and something that you had to do to get you there?
I'm really bad at bragging. I'm not going to lie to you. That's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, I'll let Tiff brag for me. So
Tiff's pretty good at it.
But on him, brag on him.
Okay. So Josh, by the way, is only, 29?
yeah.
I'm 7 years older. I'm a Puma, not a Cougar, because I'm not 40. That's what I like to say. But for reality, when we started the company, Josh was only 23 or 24 years old.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah. And to think about where he came from, basically straight out of college we have over 25 employees. We're a partner in a company with 200 employees. To see where someone came from at such a young age, and he had no other option. He didn't go through corporate life to get groomed as a leader or anything like that. He really takes it upon himself to read books, podcasts, put himself in front of the right mentors. And really neither one of us would be here if we weren't in rooms like this all the time. So I would just with that being said, I encourage you to never stop learning. It doesn't matter if you're doing 1 million, 50 million, 100 million, there's always something else to learn. And I think one thing Josh focused in on was not just chasing every different type of topic, he always learns about leadership. So at all times, he's reading a book or something revolving leadership and management. And I think that's really where some of our biggest struggles are in the room is how do we take people underneath of us and grow them to the next level? And it's one of the hardest pieces of the business, in my opinion. But if you can master becoming a leader, you don't have to master everything else in the business because people will grow the company for you.
She did that way better than I ever could. All right, what's one of your biggest accomplishments?
I would say the education company this year. I took a stance that I was not going to build it the same as my last company, like he said, where you hire the front line first. I came in this year and I hired top talent in all of my management roles. So we have a COO, head of fulfillment, head of business development, head of sales, and now we're going to go throw fuel in the fire so that they can build the teams. And I wish I would have done that in my last company because life's way much better when you do that.
Cool, good stuff.
All right. There's only 4 currencies in any business transaction: money, time, knowledge, and relationships. I have made more off of relationships than any other currency. Money's a commodity at the end of the day, right? Time, you can argue, knowledge, but you can get the knowledge from those relationships. So being in a room like this, masterminds, and developing those relationships is huge. It'll pay off big dividends. So the biggest wins I've ever had is when I said yes and trusted my gut in starting a new relationship. Like with, Dean Graziosi is an example. In 2005, the dude's infomercial was flailing. A buddy of mine partnered with him, bought the infomercial. It wasn't making any money. And it was a consulting gig. So I was getting paid $0 on a campaign that was losing money. But I met with Dean. I'm like, okay, this dude's a genius. I don't know everything about this, but I'm like, there's something here with this guy. And within 6 months of taking that consulting gig, his genius, he went and filmed that infomercial where you do kind of the Larry King interview format. And it was gangbusters from there. So that's one relationship. But along the way, I mean, I've got relationships that are 22 plus years in this business, and they always pay off. So I would just say that currency, that relationship currency, is always going to pay huge dividends and can lead to the other currencies that you need. So foster those relationships with the right people, be in rooms like this and learn from other folks, find a good mentor, and be the other side of that. Pour into people and be an amazing in relationships as well.
I think I'll say something similar to what Dave said, and kind of right on the back of what I said before is I've always been so focused on using the success measure as like money. And that's come, but really until I started to care about other people and collaborate and do other things like, with Investor Fuel, we've created something pretty amazing that is the one kind of business that I have that is like, I'm not really, I don't know what these guys would say, but I'm not the guy. Like, I'm not the guy that has to do it. People aren't necessarily there to see me. They're there to see each other. We've created some amazing culture of people that just really want to, give back and stuff like that. And that's not something that I'd ever done before. It was just like getting to this point of realizing that, I want to build, if I'm being honest, like, I'm one of those, probably the other people in here too. We have 5,000 friends on Facebook, but I don't really know any of them. Like, I have lots of really shallow relationships and not very many deep ones. And so for me, the Mastermind isn't that different than when I was selling cups in high school because I had a fake ID when I was 17, as I just found a way to pull people together, partly to fill a void that I had of building better friendships. And so I've just taken selling cups to another level now, I guess. So by just creating a community, it's not even about me. I think at one point it was like, I'm the guy and I can't sustain that, and I don't even want to sustain that. So creating something that's pretty cool that a lot of people are proud to be a part of, and I'm got a lot of amazing friends out of it. Even Chad.
So for me, I think something that's relatable to all of us is, I think one of the things, whether you're already kind of past that point or working through it now, that we can all look back at and be proud of is like what we had to overcome to get to where we're at now. Because being an entrepreneur is hard. You're going to overcome a lot of obstacles to get past and move forward. And we're always in search of progress. So I think that's probably the leading thing pushing and driving me is just progress. And for me, I kind of had to restart that whole thing for myself. I was in the NFL at the pinnacle of where I wanted to be at my entire life until that point, childhood dream, and realized being moved positions from tight end to fullback that if I kept doing this, I was going to definitely kill myself and be a vegetable. So I had to walk away from the thing that I love the most and start over and be a nobody and start from scratch. And that was really hard. Fortunately, looking back at it now, maybe I was too stupid to know any different, but I just took massive action, didn't look back, didn't think about it, didn't get depressed and, oh, no, all my dreams away. I just took action. And I think that's probably what all of us have done in this room is taken action. Whether we've taken as much action as we want or not, that's what has set us apart, is the fact that we were willing and able to take action. And so kind of flash forward through that, had lots of obstacles that I had to overcome and setbacks and losses and successes. But just kind of where we're at now, I think what I'm most proud about is the fact that I had some awareness. To build wealth, you need to buy assets. So that trigger went off, started buying those 4 years ago, which is now at a $10 million portfolio. And I feel like I could grow much, much more. And I think some of the most fulfilling things that have come together in the past year and a little bit more is just by growing and building the team and providing these opportunities for other people and impacting their lives and having those people excited to enrich their lives and enrich my life even more as well, and my family and everything that comes with that. So I think that's been super powerful, very rewarding and fulfilling, just to grow as a leader and evolve in all that. So it's been a fun journey.
Forgot I was up. You guys are slinging gold up here, man. I was just listening, taking notes.
Can you ask the question again?
Do you want me to use it in a sentence? Okay, what is your biggest accomplishment? What got you?
Biggest accomplishment. So similar to my biggest mistake, not getting out early enough, it was getting out, actually making the decision to get out. So John Warlow has a book. You guys have probably read it because you're not in here for a random reason, called Built to Sell. Anyone heard of that one? The simplest for a dumb guy like me. It was perfect. It's this big and it's big letters. It's awesome. And the idea is to build your company so that you can sell it. I'm never going to sell that. That's neither here nor there. But it teaches you things that you need to implement in order to be able to sell it, like get yourself the heck out of there. And I'd say the accomplishment, the part that I can pat myself on the back for, is not just removing yourself physically, but there's a lot of ego play, and I think a lot of you guys could probably talk more about this than I can, but there's a big piece of yourself that's in your business. I mean, it's you, it's your name, it's your logo, or I had that logo designed, whatever, all that stuff. It's so you, and to not be needed kind of hurts. It feels really weird. Like, are you sure you guys got this? Are you good? All right, you need anything, let me know. And but like I say, I would say my biggest accomplishment, and it's one company. The other one I work 70 hours a week and don't make any money on. It's awesome. But the one big accomplishment, mistake was not pulling out fast enough. Accomplishment was actually finally going and pulling out. And then one other little touch on, someone had mentioned you got to be kind of dumb to start a business or something. I totally agree. You can't be really smart for some things, calculated risk, but sometimes you just got to, jump out, just make that leap. My father-in-law has 2 PhDs, smartest guy I know, and has failed in 3 businesses. It just can't do it. He knows too much, and I guess I'm dumb because it's worked out good for me. So.
Cool, good stuff, guys. All right, so let's talk about, we talked about team building, getting out of the business, all that good stuff. What is the best hire you've made, and what did it do for you?
I'm going to match that question about hiring people that are at a much higher level than you, and for the position that you don't even really have yet. You didn't say that as exact words, but hiring higher level management to get you where you need to go. They can pull you where you need to go. They've already been in corporate. They've already ran a team of 100 people, so your little team of 10 people is like, they can do it in their sleep, as opposed to the Peter Principle, if you guys have heard of that, where you increase someone's responsibility just past their capabilities. Have you ever heard that whole analogy of someone gets promoted just past their level of expertise? And that plagues companies. So hiring someone that's knows something more than you do and that can actually take you to where you need to go.
Is there a specific hire you made, though? Like someone in your business, it's like, this is the person I hired that changed the game for me.
Yeah, so getting a little into the granular, our production manager, his name's Arturo. I outright stole him. I am so proud to say that. That's like a hidden thing. Oh, did you steal it? Dude, I absolutely stole that guy. It was awesome. And I think I'm really clever way too. All right, I'll give you the insight. So I saw him at a golf tournament sponsored by one of our distributors. It was him and his son. I knew worked together. I kind of knew of him. And the guy's making $100,000 a year. He makes good money. He's fine, but he wants the best for his son. And his son was getting, I don't know, $30 an hour. So I hired him for whatever it was, 150 or something. But I'll give your son 80, but you need to coach him over the next 6 years or 7 years or whatever. Made a plan so that he takes over. And that's what got it. It wasn't the money. It wasn't, he had plenty of that. It was creating that thing to capture him. Well, anyway, the reason I first thought of him, there's plenty. But right now, you can't hire, you guys know this, you can't hire contractors. I mean, they're so hard to get. There's a labor shortage, there's material shortages, all this stuff. Arturo, our production manager, gets 4 or 5 calls a day of guys looking for work to come here. So we don't have that problem. Pretty cool, you know what I mean? Whereas anyone else, they just love working for the guy. He's fair, he's honest, he's all this stuff. And someone like that, go out and steal that person, pay him whatever, make some kind of comp plan that can, increase their salary, whatever's important to that person, go give them that.
Yeah, so my best hire was my very first one, and it happened soon after we started meeting at your house, doing a small little intimate mastermind with local people here, and that was the encouragement I needed to, just shout out for our masterminds, the encouragement I needed to jump off the cliff and do it. And my first hire was an acquisition manager. Found on Facebook within my network, hey, I'm looking to hire an acquisition manager, blah, blah, blah. And one of the local wholesalers who we had just recently been buying flips from reached out and said he was interested. So he just didn't want to be an owner. He just wanted to close deals, make good money, go fishing on the weekends, and not have to worry about marketing and QuickBooks and stuff like that. So was our best hire. He's still our, still our best closer to this date, and has been a blessing. And yeah, can't say enough about it.
You're not going to show this to our teams, right? Like, you picked that person. I've got a lot of amazing people some that have worked with me for 8 to 10 years now. It's really cool, but no, fucker, don't do that. But I'll just use something a little more recent. So my wife is an absolute workhorse. Most people don't know her because she's more introverted and more behind the scenes, but she's been integral in everything we've ever done. She's always the glue keeping it together. She used to be an investment banker on Wall Street, so she's really savvy. And so for years, she's been doing a lot of stuff that she doesn't particularly enjoy, but she's just good at it. And she doesn't know how to not work either. So if she has a toe in, she's all the way in. But we've been making this concerted effort to try to pull her out of the businesses. And about 5 months ago, we hired a controller. She's basically our CFO. I mean, we all play a lot of roles, but so we're kind of full steam ahead to try to pull her completely out. So rather than just a reliable employee or my assistant or something like that, I think this will help us at home too, right? Because I'm taking that burden off. So if I burden her at work, then it comes back around at home, and so I'll go with that one.
Smart man. Quick answer is an implementer, Tam, who we were talking about, because I'm, for everybody's sort of traction or rocket fuel, right? I'm pure visionary, and so for me, the most important hire is that implementer, so I can go do my thing. And I would say most of the people in this room that are in between that 1 and 3 level, that's your first one. Most people are probably going to be visionaries, and if you're not, you're a pure implementer. Go find that visionary. But that yin to your yang, that implementer, if you're a visionary, that's that first immediate hire that I think is most important. And Tam has been one for me. And so that principle, I think, serves the group. But the other thought, and you guys did a great job on talking about recruiting, and I would say one caveat to that is hiring A players versus B players. You can't turn a B player into an A player. And I define an A player as somebody you don't have to tell twice. You tell them once, you train them, and they look around corners. A B player, you've got to keep repeating it over and over. So that's how I would define an A player. So find A players in whatever role they are and let go of the B players as quick as you can, because a B player will never turn into an A player, and they will drag your time and energy. So
I'm normally really against hiring family, but my brother-in-law, Aaron, who's his sister's husband, I have been trying to recruit for 3 years. And when we jumped into the education business, I said that I want to disrupt the industry with real fulfillment. I wanted full-time 6-figure earners coaching my students. And that was the only way I was willing to grow this program, is if I held the hands of my students to real success. And so after 2 years of hardcore recruiting this kid, I finally brought him in one day. And not only that, but he was a sales manager where he was at, and he had strong influence around the people he was at in his corporate life. So I was I knew that if I could get him in, he would not only have the ability to run my fulfillment, but I knew he could bring in other A talent. So we finally got him on board, and he has been the reason of multiple A talent players. All of my managers came from his corporate life. Aiden, my videographer, came from there. But all 3 of my top managers came from his sphere of influence, and he's crushed it ever since. And it's literally I have no idea what's going on in fulfillment, and I have no anxiety over it, which is really nice. So I stick at what I'm good at in my genius zone, and he takes over from there, and it's been the best duo ever for me.
I'm going to go off the wall here. I think someone said earlier, you either do it, delegate it, or delete it. One thing that we've done is we've outsourced just about everything we can in the home life, because our focus has been, when we're home, we want to focus on loving our daughter, loving each other, and enjoying the experience that we have. Otherwise, what's all this work and making all this money for? So one thing that we've been able to do is we actually retired my mom, and we hired her as a full-time nanny for our daughter. And that, I mean, just seeing, how much our daughter's loved every single day, and how happy that makes us, and how much stronger of a relationship we have from that, I think that's one of my favorite hires.
Good stuff. Awesome. All right. So obviously you guys are high performers, and I think there's a lot of similarities with high performers. I'm going to talk tomorrow morning about morning routines and kind of getting things set up and stuff like that. What is one high performance habit that you do that you're pretty consistent about that gives you the most return for the effort that you put into that habit?
I love this question. So one thing that I do is I'm a big believer that winning is a habit. And what I mean by that is you don't just show up. And so I'll give you this example. I played football at the University of Toledo, and my coach was Matt Campbell at the time. He's at Iowa State. I don't know for anyone who follows college football. One thing he would preach to us was winning is a habit. He said, hey, listen, you don't just show up on Saturdays and win football games. And this was something that was ingrained into me when I played there. And he said, look, we have to win with the decisions that we make off the field, with the people we're hanging out with. We have to win in the classroom, turning in our assignments on time, showing up to class, being in the first two rows. We have to win in the weight room, not skipping reps. We have to win in the film room, all these areas on the practice field. And then when we show up on game day, we got a chance to win. And so I've actually taken this as our theme for our culture in our office. And I'm a big believer that winning is a habit even in the professional life. I've seen that if I'm consistent in my personal development, I'm consistent in the gym, I'm consistent with eating right, I naturally win in the business realm as well. So to your question, one thing that I've done very consistently is I've actually, and to help hold me accountable, I've hired a personal trainer who shows up to my house and has a workout ready for me to go in my garage every morning. So I've been very consistent with that, and even the visualization piece, the exercise that we did this morning, I do that every day. And I want to stress this, that exercise is extremely powerful. And I'm a big believer of law of attraction, and it's amazing to see what just that one exercise has done for our life.
I would say in the last 2 years, the one thing that's helped me become more and more of a high performer is no one in my company, no vendor, and no amount of money will break my 5 to 8 p.m. with my daughter. So at 4:45 p.m., I walk up to everyone in my office that's needing me, figure it the fuck out, I'm out of here, don't call me for 3 hours. And they do, and they figure it out. And am I guilty of texting and calling my workers and all that while I'm with her? Yes. But I'm literally home from 5 to 8, and I will not allow anyone to break my time. So as I do grind it out in the morning or I work during the day, I never feel guilty because I know that I've forced myself to be present and allow no one to break that. And I have a lot of peers in the industry that always told me like their regret is like not being there with their children through this build phase. And so I will not allow myself to regret that someday.
I'm big on morning routines, like, you read a lot of people are, but I'm also big on my nighttime routine. So in the morning, I don't check emails, I don't look at my phone, I don't do anything. I get up, and I'm a morning person, so I naturally get up early, and that's when I'm in that theta state, not to get too deep into subconscious and psychology, but your brain's in a different wave pattern. And so that's when I journal, I take notes, and I get to the gym, and I work out, and then I sit in the sauna, and that's when I pray and meditate and get centered myself. And whatever I'm feeling coming out of that time, I pay real close attention to, because that's my inspiration. I move the needle during those moments, because one moment of inspiration makes up for hundreds of hours of perspiration. So I'm very fanatical about that morning routine. Don't check email, don't talk to anybody until I basically leave the gym. So that's one thing. But at night, I'm also fanatical about, I wind down. Like it's an hour and a half routine. I get rid of all electronics, because before you get into sleep, right, you're back into that theta state. And what you're putting into your brain that last half an hour goes straight into your subconscious. So I'm very fanatical about what I listen to. It's either book on audio or I'm putting something into my brain and my subconscious as I doze off and go to sleep. Wayne Dyer talks about you're going to lay your body down and you're going to be sitting in this soup of whatever the last thing that you put into your brain. So I'm fanatical about that last hour, and I'm not 100%, but I'm about 95% on that morning and that end routine. And then I also parcel out my day based on my strengths. So the things that I suck at and I don't like, the number 3's on that list, dude, that's like 3 to 4 in the afternoon where I'm already not in a good place anyway. So that's when I talk to my bookkeeper. That's when I do minutia stuff, is basically 3 to 4 in the afternoon. My morning is saved for writing or inspiration when I'm doing my one-on-one coaching stuff that I enjoy, the 1s and 2s on that list. So I set my day up based on what I'm good at and what I enjoy because I'm a morning person. And the afternoon stuff, I tend to put the 3s and the 4s, and then that morning routine and that nighttime routine I'm pretty fanatical about.
There's a couple things I was going to mention, but I'll just mention one. I turned the ringer off on my phone about a year ago, and I've never turned it back on. Like literally, my phone doesn't ring. I turned off every notification. If you're not in my contacts, it goes straight to voicemail. If you're my wife, my phone vibrates. Other than that, my phone doesn't ring ever. So if I look at it and there's something I need to address, it caused my whole team to just go 100% to Slack if they want to talk to me. And so, because I'm an addict, I have an addictive personality anyway, and so if my phone's ringing and beeping all the time, super unproductive. So that's what I've done.
So I have a part 2 to the last question I forgot to mention. Whether you've already experienced this or you've yet to experience it, I think one of the biggest things when it comes to the first hire is that breakthrough moment and understanding and belief that now you're giving, you're not trading your time for money anymore, right? You're buying your time back by giving those responsibilities to someone else. So that was probably the biggest thing that I went through with that experience. And naturally now I'm having to elevate as a leader and all that kind of stuff. So a little other piece I want to share. In terms of what I do, I think right now with 3 kids under 6, it's tough. They wake up early, they go to bed late. Every day is kind of Groundhog's Day. So I think my life might change, Dave, to be similar to yours, to where I've got my peace in the morning and don't have a bunch of mouths to feed and take care of. But right now, the mornings are not like my oasis where I can just kind of have my own personal time when people aren't working yet, which is what I know I would be doing. But right now it's feeding and clothing and keeping them from fighting. So for me, my special time is lunchtime, and I try to 4 to 5 times out of the week go and work out at that time, and I try to, as much as I can, do something competitive to keep that competition going and keeping me excited and engaged, because that's when my mind's in its most blissful state, is when I'm doing something physical. So we got the pickleball games. I sat out the past month or so because I had pickle elbow. But it's feeling pretty good now. So I think I can get back on the court.
Pickle elbow, that could go a couple different directions.
Hey, went to the doctor. He's like, that's some pickle elbow if I've ever seen some. So yeah, that's me. Just trying to do something competitive and doing something physical.
7 Habits Highly Effective People. I'm quoting books now, man. Begin with the end in mind. So I'd say that's my biggest thing is I have quite a few friends in business that they're just going through, maybe it was an inherited business, maybe they just kind of fell into it. What are you freaking doing it for? What are you working so hard for? And it's not all about the money. I completely agree with that. But right after but comes the argument against what you just said. But anyway, it's a good yardstick, and it is a nice measurable. So let's say you want to make X dollars per year. Well, what does your business need to look like in order to produce that for you? Say it's $1 million and your net profit is 10%. You need to do how much would that be? 10 million a year. Anyway, if it were 2%, you'd have to do 50 million a year. It depends. Every business model is different as far as percentages. And then make a 20-year, 10-year, 5-year, 36-month, whatever plan on how to accomplish that. And then the last little piece is then we always do a 90-day planning thing every quarter. I think that was Traction also that came from. And break it down into weekly chunks of exactly what to do, when you need to hire this person by, when you need to, then it looks a lot less overwhelming. To get from 0 to 100 million in 20 years sounds good, but is it actually going to happen? If you chisel it down and break it down, it's really not that big of a deal. In 20, you can do a lot in 20 years. I heard Tony Robbins quoted, he has a quote, something along the lines of,
Overestimate what you can do
in a year,
underestimate in 5.
in 10 years or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So it's very, very, very true.
Cool, good stuff. All right, last question is, what is one big goal that you want to share, and what do you think you need to do to get there?
What was that?
One big goal that you have, and what you need to do to get you there.
I already got mine. So I already kind of dropped that hint to the 100 million. So our construction company does $5 million a year. And you guys all seem like open people. We do net profit of 20% at the end of the year. So we average about $1 million net profit for my wife and I every year for the construction company, 2 hours a week. So 100 hours a year average. So we're 10 grand an hour, like you were talking about. So the things I do there is high level kind of guidance stuff. For the roofing company, it has such a different business model. There were 18 roofing companies in the United States that did over $100 million last year. The biggest was $680 million. That business model for me is to get to over $100 million. That's my big goal. So now it's carved in the universe. It has to happen.
Nice.
Love it, man. Good stuff.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, I've got, passive income goals, want to get those big, but I'd say involving my team and, bringing everybody along the ride. I want to get the company to $10 million a year. This year will be probably around $3 million. So want to get it to 10 million. I think it's achievable. I think we're doing all the right things that get us there. Still feel like we're scratching the surface. So that's the goal.
Cool. What do you think you need to do to get you there?
I think it always just boils down to getting better at the smaller things that we're doing. We've gotten a lot more dialed in. I think it's probably going to involve growing the relationships. That's an area that we've excelled at in the past 2 years, and has added another $1 million of revenue just last year. So I think if we untap that potential that I know is there, I hired someone to help with it. I think if we can get him to perform at the level that he needs to, and even pour more fuel on the fire, that it'll really take off like crazy.
Cool.
We're talking about numbers now. So I'll say I wrote down today $100 million net worth in 5 years. And I need a couple of key hires to get there. So a lot of it will be through multifamily. My goal is just to raise $50 million in the next year for multifamily, and treat it like a real business, treat raising money. And so, it's not all about the money, but
But it doesn't hurt. I've had problems with money. I've had problems without money. I'll take problems with. Very similar, like $2 billion in assets under management that I'm a part of, helping raise capital and syndications and having at least a 10% equity. That in combination with some self-storage and new construction, like build-to-rent stuff, $500,000 in passive income. That's like my number of, I gotta have a great lifestyle in Kansas City at $500,000. So that's my financial, using real estate as a vehicle. And one of my other big goals that I shared is it's going to be called KC Wellness Center, Soul, Mind, Body, where under one roof we're going to have everything from a yoga to you can get your family therapy there. You can go in and do your day spa. So Soul, Mind, Body, all in one facility where you can show up and do everything. And part of that is because my 3 daughters, every one of their talents and things that they love, they're going to be involved in that. One, she's a nurse and a yoga instructor, so she can be involved in the day spa part of it. One's an esthetician. One does counseling with youth and addiction and stuff. So for me, that feeds my soul, my body. I want to go have a workout place. I want to get the massage. So all of that inside of one center. And, I want it to make money, but it's not about a money thing. It's a mission thing that I can do with my kiddos. And so real estate will provision that.
So on my education company, we have built it organically for the last 3 years. So we haven't done $1 of paid marketing. which is something we're super proud of because it shows that we're getting people results, that it's spreading on its own. But we built a big team and we're ready to throw fuel in the fire. And I am literally banging my head against a wall that I am the last person that knows how to build a webinar, pay for a fucking ad, who to hire for it. I don't know how to do any of it. So I'm on the search for the right CMO. And this role is probably one of the most critical roles to take us to a different level right now. And I've been searching for several months. So if you know anyone, let me know. But that's what we're looking for.
Share the goal with education.
Yeah, so our primary goal right now is to really build out the 6-month program. And right now, most people don't even know that we have it, which is a problem. And it's just because like people find out through coming to our 2-day workshop. So, we're good friends with the Pinedas and all these guys out there, and they're like, well, you don't even talk about it. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of shy to talk about it. So help me learn how to do this without being shy about it. So we're trying to grow that to be at least 200 companies in it. Right now we're at 140-ish or something, I think. And then we have a couple of vertical companies that we're partners in that we're looking at growing. And that's really a 12-month goal. But right now, in order to get past that 12-month goal to a much bigger vision, we need to get someone in here that's ran a marketing agency or done something, so that way I don't have to bang my head against the wall trying to figure it out. So
We were just talking, I don't know if it was said out loud, but literally I feel like that is the definition of the Tony Robbins quote. You overestimate what you can do in a year, but underestimate what you can do in 10 years. We're talking about capping ourselves at 200 students. We have 137 in 1 year, right? So it's just crazy. But from an active perspective, so she talked a little bit about the education company. From an active perspective, one of the key hires that we are looking for, or even developing from within, is an operations manager, more of a COO that's going to be able to take over my spot. And then at that point, we would literally be on the board type of position. And that's a key either development or hire that we'll have to make here in the future. And where we're at right now as far as that company goes, we're happy with. We're going to be approaching $4 million this year in revenue as far as real estate goes. And it's not so much that we want to be a $10 million company over there. We're just looking to, again, make sure that we can sustain that, but us not being involved in the day-to-day.
Good stuff. Do you guys like this? Yeah. Good stuff, right? Give them a round of applause. All right, cool. We're just going to wrap up with a share. So obviously, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant sometimes. You just get so many nuggets. Anybody want to share one big nugget they got today that they are going to commit to implementing in the next quarter? All right, here we go again. Here we go. There you go.
So lots of really good things. Got some stuff from Dean and Michael that he was here, but he'll be back. And then Tiffany and Josh. I think the big thing is the systems, the things that you guys were talking about. Definitely very interested in that and how to set the business up to perform. So it's huge. I'm excited to start implementing things and go that route.
Cool. Who else wants to step up?
The outsource your life, when Josh, you said you have your mom do the full-time nanny. My mom is very close to retiring, but she only will have enough for 15 years or so. And she wants to be part of our business. So we've been trying to find a way to get her into it. So that's a big goal of mine. You guys talking about outsourcing your life. My mom is looking to work for us. So that gave me the inspiration.
Cool, good stuff.
I knew it. My gold nugget is I feel like I've done a pretty good job with where I'm at with our team, but the nugget I'm getting is I need to grow that. I need to work more. I do. I need to grow that. I need to work more.
I've been telling you that for a long time.
I know.
Get your ass to work, Chad.
So
I see you working really
I know
hard.
it's all fun. It's funny, but the reality is I was in the car business. We had a previous business that I bought. It was basically just a damn job. And I got out of what I was doing, number one, for our family and her. She was like single mom, raising our autistic child, little guy. So I've been, the gold nugget I'm getting to is everybody up here has been very intentional. So I feel good about that, where I've been, because I've been very intentional about how I build my business, specifically around time and time with my kids. But I also know that I'm capable a lot more and I need to do a lot more. And the only way to do that without increasing a lot of my time is to grow a team and get more uncomfortable than I am now. So that's my gold nugget. I got to get uncomfortable. And I've been preparing for it mentally going into this new year. And I've got some changes I need to make on the horizon with, acquisitions manager. And I think it's a great opportunity to get uncomfortable and, we either part ways or I grow my team more. I think that's probably where I'm at.
Yep, cool. Throw it over somewhere else. Anybody else? Michael?
For me, I think it was Tiff who said it, we only have 2 lead sources and we do really well off of it. And then the third one is just referral from other wholesalers. But it's thinking about it, Google changed their analytics and my PPC guy could be not on the ball and I'm hosed there for whenever. And honestly, my PPC guy, I email him, it takes 2 weeks to get back to me already. I just do it because I get good leads from it. And I'm happy with it. And then TV, I got hosed in, when was that? November? When the hack?
What happened?
The hack on...
the stations?
Yeah, because Sinclair, it's they own every station in Columbus. So I was like, man, I need to look at other things, so probably should call Mike and his team there. And then 2, just hiring the people for where you want to be. I've always been scared to hire someone for where we're not today. And I've been coming around to it, like you said, but I just need to do it and hire those people for where we want to be, not where we are today. So.
Action item, sell us your deals.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a good segue. Who here's doing radio right now? 1, just 2? Well, yeah. All right, 2. Who here has tried radio but just didn't do it for some reason? Right? Okay, cool. So based on a conversation I had yesterday, we are actually looking at rolling out radio as a done-for-you service as well. As you guys know, TV is really hard to do, and from what we now understand, radio is really hard to do. So if you guys are interested in radio, come talk to me. We don't have it rolled out yet. I just messaged Drew. You guys know Drew. Was it last night or this morning? And we're going to meet about it this week and roll that out soon. So we're not going to... So yeah, so just let us know if you're interested, and we'll get that implemented. So anything else anybody wants to share before we wrap up? Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to, get away from that first. I don't really know how to put this, but Tiffany, you mentioned your office is super exciting and whatever, and it just kind of made me think one of my goals in life doesn't really have to do with I guess it can do with real estate is I'm a father of 3, and the reason why I do mission trips and other things like that is because I want my kids to see I don't know, trying to be a good dad, I guess, is the best I can to do. And that comment it made me think about our office, and our office is the antithesis of probably what you just said. And what I'm getting out of this is, we don't really put any time into this, is the culture building, but more importantly, it's probably the leaders that have been lacking. So me and my business partner, so this is, I don't even know where to go with this. I kind of feel a little emotional, I got a lot of soul searching to do. So that's something that I'm kind of pulling from this. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go when I get home yet, but yeah, that's definitely
Have you ever read Urban Meyer's book Above the Line? So we follow his book in building the culture. He's the one caught on.
He was the one that referred it to me,
Yeah.
actually. But so Urban Meyer, college football again. Urban was 10 was coaching Florida. Cheater. He was Utah, then Florida. Won a few national championships at Florida. Came to the Ohio State, right? Won won a national championship at Ohio State. Not only did he win it, but he won it with the third string quarterback, which is unheard of. And he actually wrote a book about that season. He talks about how the culture that he built is what allowed them to win the championship that year with a third string quarterback. A lot of his principles, I talked about our culture being built off of a theme. We built our playbook off of that book essentially for building culture. It's a phenomenal book to read when it comes to building culture, setting standards, having a theme for your company.
Cool. And I think he's rumored to go to Nebraska, maybe. I'm hoping.
Oh, Nebraska?
I heard a rumor. That'd be great. I know. It'd be great.
I think another thing that's really changing in society right now is when I was being raised through corporate, I think every corporation is very political. You're always trying to fight for the next role. And sometimes you don't know if people genuinely give a shit about you. And I genuinely give a shit about my team. And I think everyone on my staff would tell you that. I would literally fight tooth and nail to make sure that every one of them is successful, and they all know that. And I will come in early, I'll leave late, I'll do whatever it takes to make them what they want to become. And I want to make sure that they know that, they hear that, they feel that, and I want to make sure that my leaders live that out. And if they don't live that out, they don't have a place in my company. And we haven't experienced turnover in, I don't even know, 2 or 3 years. We've let go of a couple people, but we haven't had anyone leave, which I think is an awesome stat because that's not the norm. And I mean, Aiden's on our staff, and maybe hopefully you agree with me. But it's just really big to us that we set a standard and that we make sure that people know that we care about their personal life. Because we all got shit that's going on, right? Like, someone might have a handicapped child or someone, whatever. And back in corporate life, like, they didn't give a shit. You came in 9 to 5, you leave, you come in, it's quiet. Like, you're all fighting each other to get the same role. That's not the play in my office. And I think another thing that's important is to really set a standard that it's mission first, not like it's team. We win as a team and lose as a team. And when you live that out through people, it's no different than going on missionary trips. Like, you're here as one to like better something else, but you need to live that culture out through your staff. And then when you get the leaders to live that out, it will grow that way on its own. But it only takes one cancer stick to ruin it all. And we had someone on our staff not long ago that was a high performer, but was a cancer stick. And I regret not letting go of that person sooner because it was really stressful. And that one person out of a big, I guess we don't have that big of an office, but out of a decent sized office, like, would bring people down. So I would just encourage, if you have someone on your staff like that, let it go. Like, who cares if they're a performer? Weed them out, because you're going to lose your A players over someone like that, hands down. Like, if you do bring in an A player, they'll leave. But that book that he just said above the line is what we follow in building a culture.
And our leaders too. Yeah, they all read that.
Okay.
Cool. Good stuff. Any last thoughts from anybody?
Thanks for inviting me, number one, Tony, to this. It's been fun. My name is Randy. I came late today. I had another important meeting, but I've been blessed because I've been surrounded by fortune builders when we're at 650 employees. So I feel like we've had masterminds every week of this caliber because we had so many incredible managers and so forth and so on. And that company has, transitioned, not in a bad way, in a good way, to a smaller size now. So everything now is virtual. So I miss this stuff. So I think it's a reminder. I just got inspired really to attend more masterminds, especially like more intimate ones, right? Because I think there's so much value we can have. The side conversations that I've been able to have, even last night, with Nick, when everybody left early at 8:50, I was like, wow, man, it's a beautiful home. People are staying here, so I'm like, I'm gonna jump in a pool. And
you were the guy skinny dipping last night.
I was the skinny dipping. Yeah. And anyway, just getting to know someone one-on-one, I think there's something to that where it's not just business. It's like, okay, what are you about? Like, what's your life? How did you get here? Right? And then, of course, it goes to business in certain aspects, but really understanding people, like what makes them tick and what's the challenge that they're solving, that's outside of business that will also have an impact on business, right? So point of the story is like get to know each other. Like breaks if you can, because I think that's very inspirational to me, and reminder that I got to be at more of these now that Fortune Builders is kind of much smaller.
Yeah, cool, good stuff. Thanks for sharing, Randy. All right, anybody else? What's that? Wendy? You getting volunteered?
Got voluntold.
Voluntold.
I know. Yeah, it was a nice revelation to hear he wanted to work more, because I feel like I do a lot of it. No, I go to a lot of the Investor Fuel events with Chad, but I haven't always sat in to hear everything. And I've wanted to transition more into learning more about his side of the business, because we do work so closely together, but I'm so immersed in my retail side because I'm crazy busy. His team is crazy busy, but I need to begin to learn more about what he's doing. And so being able to just be here and network and hear what you guys are doing and to contribute more into his business is a big reason why I am here and want to do it more. And just hearing you guys and how immersed you are in your businesses, we're at a point in our lives where we just want to be with our kids so much, but we want to be working on our business and not so much in our business, but you're not always at that stage yet to be able to completely step out. And so many of you are, you're in that journey where you've been able to step out of that. So I think that's where we're headed. But there's a lot of things that have to happen that you guys have mentioned that we've got to get in place. So
You'll be a damn good integrator.
no, I'm not going to be as integrator. No. Yeah.
I'll grab it real quick. To my new pilot friend over here, have you guys ever heard the takeoff analogy for any business? You got a runway in front of you, the sky's the limit, you see everything, and you hit the gas, but if you only go about halfway, you just don't give it your all, you're never taking off. So, but if you give it all the gas and the bolts are flying off and it feels like the thing's gonna fall apart, and you take off and you still let off, right after you take off, you made a little success and then you take off the gas, you're just gonna come right back down. So you have to go full throttle through success, past where you ever thought you'd wanna be, finally get to that stage, and then you can let off a little bit. But if you let off too soon, have you guys ever heard that analogy in business? Pretty good one. So anyway, similar to that, just bash your face against the wall, man. Just do whatever it takes to get higher, even if you're already cruising, just to get higher, and then you can let off. But if you let off too soon, you'll never get off the ground.
Cool, good stuff. Any other nuggets? All right, fantastic. Well, let's start the fun festivities tonight. Probably 30, 45 minutes, I'm guessing, dinner will be ready. Whoever wants to go play pickleball, I guess we can go up there and play pickleball if you guys want to. And come find out. Come find out. You'll see. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Yeah, it does. All right, thanks, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause for a great day.